I should not be attending to the fact that the risk of nuclear war is a real cost when you engage in foreign conflict. That should not at all factor into my deliberations about what to do and what not to do in Ukraine or elsewhere. I've never said that I feared nuclear war as a consequence of interaction with Iran. What I have said is I do not want to see the United States at war with Iran. That's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. Do you remember what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan? That's where you're going? War with Iran? This question from Michael Stern, or Michael Stern. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Michael. So it's Michoel.
That might be a typo.
Yeah, it could be, although the O is rather far from the A on the keyboard, as you know. In any case, Mr. Stern, your question, Dr. Loury, I hope you select this question you come across lately as being wrongly isolationist, strongly isolationist. And I'm curious where you pitch your tent regarding foreign military policy. You set up a false and forced binary in your after-show thoughts of the Trump victory with John, of either being a complete isolationist or a warmonger. You completely ignore the path of selective deterrence, which Trump effectively marshaled in his first term to keep people in check without any wars. You further seem to cast your lot with the extreme isolationists by suggesting confronting Russia or Iran would cause World War III or nuclear war, which is especially perplexing in Iran's case as they don't have it yet. You obviously don't want America to be the world's policeman. My question is, what alternative would you have? The alternative of apparently Jeff Sachs' preference, according to you, is that the United Nations lead the world, that hive of corruption, incompetence, impotence, and evil. The other alternative is a different world power filling the power vacuum. You would prefer Russia, China? Who would you prefer? I imagine not. So in the end, what is your better and rational alternative to America being the world's policeman? Okay, I'm going to respond to that. Does the world need a policeman? I don't see that the world needs a policeman. I see that there are a number of powers in the world with influence in their respective spheres of domains of influence. Russia is one of them. China is one of them. India is one of them. It's not a military power at anything like that scale yet, but it could be in the years ahead. I don't know that the United States needs to or should be the arbiter of everything that happens on the planet. Would I leave NATO? No, I wouldn't leave NATO. Not tomorrow. Would I have the members of NATO pony up, man up and woman up in terms of meeting their defense obligations as a part of the compact? Yes, I would. Do I think the American taxpayer should be bearing the burden of keeping Taiwan safe from the interest of China in the reunification? Frankly, no, I don't. Frankly, I think what happens in East Asia between China and Taiwan, no, I'm not recommending that we support the Chinese invasion of Taiwan. But in any case, that historical unfolding is a force way beyond anything that the United States can or should be attempting to dictate. And my understanding of the policy is that the resolution of that residue from the Cold War anti-communist era of the mid-20th century, the resolution should be amicable, should be nonviolent, but it is not something on which we, the United States of America, have a right or an entitlement to have a position. So I'd muddle through. I look for opportunities to cooperate. The United Nations obviously is not perfect. The United Nations is also necessary. A forum where the world's national communities can deliberate about collective interest is necessary. You don't have to like everything that they pronounce. But the establishment of the United Nations, I think, was a step in the right direction in terms of the management of this situation that we're in, where the political scientists, the realists, talk about the fact that you have nation states who are sovereign. They interact with each other. There is no higher court. facilitating cooperative deliberation seems to me to be a good thing, not a bad thing in that environment. And you mentioned nuclear war. That is the ultimate disaster for humanity. I should not be attending to the fact that the risk of nuclear war is a real cost when you engage in foreign conflict. That should not at all factor into my deliberations about what to do and what not to do in Ukraine or elsewhere. I've never said that I feared nuclear war as a consequence of interaction with Iran. What I have said is I do not want to see the United States at war with Iran. That's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. Do you remember what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan? Iran is that thing to another power altogether. That's where you're going? War with Iran? Not to mention the impact on the global economy of the disruption to commerce and the flow of oil out of the Persian Gulf and so forth. War with Iran? That's a disaster. So the United States does not have the right or the ability to dictate events in every corner of the globe. This is no longer a unipolar world. This is a world with a lot of contending dynamic forces that are at play. And what will happen in the next 50 or 75 years, I can't say. But the idea that the United States should be the arbiter of it, I'm not willing to foot that bill with the lives of my grandchildren or with my treasure. I want to sit at the table and talk to people about it. I'm not a foreign policy expert, but that's when I listen to Jeffrey Sachs talk about these issues, who knows a lot more about these things than I do, I smile because he's making sense to me, notwithstanding the fact that he might disagree with many of our listeners about this or that conflict, whether it's Ukraine, the Middle East, or whatever it might be. That's the kind of thinking that I wish I could see reflected in the councils of deliberation and power within my country as we reckon with how to go forward in the world. And by the way, I credit your comment that Trump's carry a big stick, walk softly but carry a big stick kind of attitude can play a role in making it unnecessary to actually go to war because people don't challenge you if they think you're willing to go to war. I understand that. But that's where this non-expert is coming from.